22nd of 2019, 2020, we did a land auction for you guys. And that was quite an event. It was right during COVID, and Mark and Forrest could not attend. And so, you know, because we are a family business, you know, I was able to call in my family to come in and kind of make that thing happen. And it happened, and we had a good auction. And so I'm glad that's probably why we even did the second auction for you guys. But tell us a little bit about Werbelow Brothers. So when it started, who started it, and how that grew about.
Well, I don't really know how it started. Dad and Joe, we formed back in, I think it was 1958.
And after he got back from the service.
All right.
Dad got back from the service. And then they got together and they farmed on Menlo Bench and practically went, I don't remember what happened, they went about broke, and then they moved to Byron, tried it over in Byron for a couple of years. And didn't go very good, so then they moved back to Emblem. And I can't remember what the story was about the 35 cows, you remember that? Or?
They went to the bank and asked for the operating loan, and the guy said, no, you can't have any. So they had 35 cows they had to sell. That's all they had to work with.
So
Dad said we went outside the bank and said, now what?
So they shopped around, finally found a bank in Werbelow that would finance them. And they just steadily grew and grew from there.
Right.
Dad kind of took care of the crop end of it, and Uncle Joe always took care of the livestock.
Right.
And Mom did the books.
Mom did the books. Joe was single until was it early 70s, mid 70s, somewhere in there. He got married. And they get along, and then I graduated college in 82 and started expanding, and Vic graduated in 84, and he joined, and just kind of blew from there.
Right. So, in the Werbelow Brothers partnership that you're involved in, that was kind of a result of your dad and his brother's partnership.
Right, exactly.
And then when your dad bought out your brother, then the siblings got involved in the partnership. Is that right?
Well, it was Dad and Mom's until Dad passed, and then after the siblings their trust became part of the partnership because of the will and the estate layout. But me and Victor were probably the main. I mean, we ran it,
Right.
and that's us and the hired men were the ones that did it all. And
Victor did hired men, and Todd did machines and
Right.
books.
All book work and all that.
So you guys, Victor and Todd, you kind of got involved, like after you graduated.
We worked there forever, from when we were just little.
Right. So
Because I worked there every summer when I was in college and then high school and whatever, you know. I wouldn't say we worked real hard until we were probably in high school, but when we were in high school, we worked hard all summer long.
Right.
You were mainly irrigators and
Irrigators and tractor drivers, yep, we did it all.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, myself, people say, well, how long have you been in the auction business? Well, my dad taught auctioneering and took me when I was 5 years old, and I used to stutter. And so coming back from auction school, Dad, he'd run around the house and he's going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, rubber baby, buggy bumper, Betty bought butts and butter, and saying all these tongue twisters and stuff. In a month and a half, my grandfather, and then I'm running around the house mimicking Dad. And in a month and a half, my grandfather noticed that I didn't stutter anymore. And so we were like you, we grew up in the auction business. When I was 8 or 10, we had a little auction yard down here off of 19th Street in Cody, and people brought in their pots and pans and dishes and this and that, and Dad would sell, and Mom would clerk, and us kids would hold it up, and then take it out to the buyers, and pretty soon you kinda got to see how the auction proceeded and how it worked. They bid here, and then they bid, and it's their turn. And so same thing, it just kinda grew up in us, and it was really fortunate to, then when I had 3 other brothers, you know, and we got involved, and, you know, we had other resources to pull it off of, and like my youngest brother is the, kind of the tech guy, Scott, and, you know, so we kind of took it and expanded and did the same thing like you guys. And the challenge, as you know, is, well, how many generations can you keep it going? And so, you know, I'm pretty fortunate. I have Mark with he's the 3rd generation auctioneer, and we got number 4 here, and we're raising number 5. You know, if the auction business is still there, we'll be doing it, and pretty good deal. Well, on your auction that we did here for Werbelow Brothers and Emblem, this farm auction, it was the largest farm auction we've done in Wyoming to date for our company. And so we really appreciate that. You had some good equipment. It was all used, but it was well maintained. And we tell people when we have an auction, we really got 2 things to sell. We have the reputation of the farmer that owns the equipment, and then you have the condition of the equipment and how it was cared for. And that's really, when you have those 2 stars lined up, we can maximize your sale, because that's what we can talk about. And as you know, how many phone calls did you get?
Can't
Lots.
count. Lots.
Too many, and they're still calling.
Yeah, they're still calling. So we always put the seller's phone numbers on there, and so they can talk to you directly about the condition of the equipment if they have any questions. And we rely on that. And, you know, by and large, our farmers, our clients that we work for are 100% honest with the buyers, because a lot of our buyers are, you know, they rely on us. They rely on you to bid. We had bidders, I was just counting up here this morning, on your first auction that we did, we had 622 registered bidders. Of those 622 registered bidders, 485 of them bid. And I didn't get a chance to go through to see how many bought, but, you know, we had a lot of bidders. And your second auction, we had 381 bidders, and there was 344 of those that actually bid. That's a pretty high percentage. We had bidders, of course, from Washington, Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, North Dakota, South Dakota, California, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Nevada, Michigan, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Alberta, British Columbia, and Mexico. It's just amazing. What the internet, you know, we've been doing online only farm and equipment auctions since 2013. And we've been doing them online, and our buying pool has just expanded. And that has helped our sellers. You know, we have a terrific website, as you know. People really like it. They like how it works, and the results are astounding. So, what can you tell us about the auction process that you learned, you know, as you got involved? You learned a little bit about the online auctions too.
Well, I guess the thing that you don't realize when you go into an auction is how much work there is to lining everything up and getting the catalog. You guys definitely made it easy.
Well, I know you've had several calls to Forrest, line things out, several calls to me. You did, another thing that you guys did is, you did everything we asked. You know, when I first went down there, the beet diggers were in the weeds and some of that stuff didn't look very good, and I just asked you, well, how could we, you know, how can we can, it'll make it look better if we pull that stuff out and mow down all the weeds and put it back, and, you know, the next time I went down there, it was done.
Yeah, we tried to make it look nice.
And it did, it looked good. You know, we took, I don't know how many pictures of your equipment, a lot, thousands. We had videos of every single piece of equipment that would run, tractors, trucks, pickups, equipment that would run. We got your equipment that was, when you're out digging the beets, we got your tractor pulling the beet digger, loading the trailer that was being pulled by the truck. So we had all 4 items right there in one video. That was cool. And it was just it was a fun auction. And
No, it's really important to have those pictures on there, you know, as a buyer, if I don't see that stuff run, I'm not going out there as far as if I know if it runs and moves.
Right.
And does what it's supposed to do. It's very critical.
right. And Connie, you and your, was it your other sister? Yeah. What was her name?
Brenda.
Brenda. So you and Brenda got charged with organizing the tubes and organizing all the gated pipe fittings, navigators, tees, and, you know.
And all the little duck feet and
Yeah.
all the parts.
Yep, and you did, and that's right, all the pallets and pallets of parts. I don't know how many pallets we had, 100 pallets of tires and parts and miscellaneous stuff, and that was really well organized, and thank you. Again, you did everything we asked, and I think it resulted, the price, it makes a difference. And then there's loadout. Loadout was fun. You know, we had 2 telehandlers, we had a Bobcat, we had a forklift, and we had your tractor. And we had Forrest guiding people, telling which lot, because we had 2 lots, where their equipment was. We had Shelley in the clerk trailer and cashier's trailer gathering the money. How many titles did we have?
I didn't count.
It was about 60, I think. I think we had about 60 titles that Shelley organized, gave the people a bill of sale the day of the auction. And so we send all those titles out, and we have a nice system.
Yeah, Shelley should be here getting a little credit.
Well, I wanted her here and asked her to be here, but she's got a grandma she's looking after. It's in,
Sorry.
yep, and so, you know, one of the things that we always strive for, and of course this was our second auction for you, but it's, you know, your repeat customers are your best customers in the world. And so we were really honored to be you're not only a customer, you're a repeat customer. And so, you know, the question that always, they say that at the end of every job that you do, there's really, you know, sometimes they'll have a survey and they'll have maybe 10 questions that they would ask you, and to try to better to see what they can do better. But it really all boils down to one question, and that is, if you can ask your clients at the end of the job, would they recommend Muscle Brothers to their friends or family? And so, what would be your answer?
Oh, definitely. I think you guys did a good job. Wonderful job.
Thank you. Connie?
Yeah, it was easy.
It was easy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was easy for her.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, I didn't know that much about the equipment, so did what you can.
Yeah. Victor?
Oh, definitely, I think just what you've done with getting together with your brothers and all them, it just makes the reach.
Right.
You bring in a pool of people with the money and the need for the equipment, and that's what maximizes the dollar bills.
Yep,
And it's amazing what 60 years worth of accumulation can bring out of good auction.
yeah, it is. And I know you guys had about, didn't you say some of that was your grandfather's?
Oh,
Yeah, two grandfathers.
Yeah, two grandfathers, so really, we sold 3 generations of equipment.
Yeah, so we had my mom's dad, some of his stuff, and we had,
Right,
you
right,
know, some of grandpa's stuff. That's still there.
yeah,
It was good,
Made us go through,
way more than I figured it was gonna make.
right.
we went through every building that we knew stuff was in. So, yeah, and I was just happy somebody could use it.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, you guys did a fine job, you actually made it easy, I mean, as far as, especially the load part, I appreciate that.
Well, it's a real, it can be, that, you know, that's kind of the final part that people remember. Sometimes on loadout, if you have a bad experience, it could be a great experience up to them, but if you have a bad loadout experience, you know, that's what they'll remember. So through our experience, you gotta have equipment, you gotta have the people that know what they're doing, and kind of envision, you have to envision what's gonna happen on loadout day, so you're prepared. And, cause it all comes in a hurry. And it's like the floodgates are open, here comes the water, you better be ready.
Yeah, it's a true story, they were ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
lots of diesel pickups and trailers showed up.
Yeah, there was one there. Yeah, it was good. Well, again, thank you very much for having us do your auction. And it was a pleasure. And make sure and tell all your friends. And if you ever need us again, we're here to serve you.